Hey guys, feeper here, back with another video for you. So at the end of the last tier, I kind of gave an overall video talking about my thoughts on the tier, and I went into each fight a little bit, but I kind of wanted to separate each fight out this time with this tier into their own separate videos, and then once we clear everything, give a video talking about my thoughts on the whole thing. So we're going to be starting with E5 Savage, of course, with Ramuh, considering it is the first fight of the tier. I'm going to talk about mechanics that I like, mechanics that I don't like. You know, in Ramuh's case, do I think it's a good introductory fight for the tier, things like that. And before we get too far into the video, if you guys do like this kind of content, please feel free to drop me a like and subscribe. It'd really help me out, and let's jump in. So overall, I think for a first fight of this raid tier, I think Ramuh might be the best one that we've gotten. Comparing this especially to Eden Prime, this blows Eden Prime out of the water. I mean, Eden Prime was just so... I mean, it was the first fight of the tier, so I understand why it was easy, but it was just a little too... It was like a little too easy, a little too brain dead. You know, most groups cleared it within like 30 minutes. It was a really easy fight. The cutscene was annoying. I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy doing that fight. But Ramuh, every time we do it, I really enjoy it. I think there's a lot of cool things going on. The orbs are a great way to bring an old mechanic into a newer, sort of more modern setting. And I like how you have to do a lot of things with the orbs. I like how there are certain raid wides that make it so you have to have an orb, otherwise you get a Fallen stack. I like how Executor Summons targets the person with the highest number of orbs, which in my group's case is me. I like his like super crazy OP tank buster that kills everybody. I like how you have to pop cooldowns and have 3 orbs and use the duty action. I know some people are like, why is there a duty action? I like the duty action. I think it's cool. I think there's just a lot of interesting things that they did in this fight. The ponies knocking you back depending on if they're like strong ponies or weak ponies is interesting. There's just a lot of mechanics that are going on in this fight that obviously are pretty rehashed, but are used in fun ways, especially for a first fight of the tier. You know, this fight keeps you on your toes. It's pretty action-packed. There's never really huge downtimes where you're just kind of smacking the boss and doing nothing, like in Eden's Prime. As far as tanking goes, I think this is a pretty good fight to tank. I mean, if you're main tanking the boss, there's not a whole lot to do. It kind of depends on how you divvy up the responsibilities that the tanks have. I do like how there is something for the off tank to do where you have to take the extra ad while the main tank has the boss, because there's a double tank busters that come out there. I do like that a lot. And then like I said, I do like his super, the 14 spears. I think that's a cool mechanic. I think it's a really cool mechanic. I think knocking down the spears can be a little weird sometimes with like server ticks and lag. That can get a little funky if you're not like exactly in the right place at the right time. It doesn't register you and then you're kind of fucked. So that I wish had a little bit more leeway, just because I think the way this game handles server ticks and lag really is pretty bad, but it's not doable. And for the most part, tanks have a decent amount of stuff to do. I mean, I guess it's not really that much. It's just there's tank busters on the main tank, and then the off tank has to take the ad. But usually the off tank, all they have to do is provoke every now and then, or they do nothing in first turns. Like Eden's Prime, it was just provoke, and then you could honestly just shirk the other tank back almost immediately. So at least you have to do something in this fight, and then whoever has to deal with 14 spears, I think that's a really cool mechanic too, as I've said like 4 times now. So yeah, I think in terms of tanking, this fight is definitely much more involved, especially considering the fact that it's the first tier. I think that, or the first fight of the tier. I think the difficulty in this fight, especially for a first fight, is pretty good too. You know, I think we kind of went into it with the mindset that like, oh, it's just going to be another Eden's Prime, or I mean, even Chaos. Even though Chaos, I love Chaos. I think Chaos might be honestly one of my favorite fights in the game. I think Chaos was still pretty easy. It wasn't too hard to figure it out. I think we kind of went into this fight with that mindset, and honestly, Ramuh kind of fucking slapped us. Like, he kind of was like, yo, you got to pay attention, and we were all kind of like, wait, what? Now, in terms of things I don't like about this fight, as I alluded to when I talked about Executor Summons, during I think it's the 2nd Thunderstorm, or maybe it's the 3rd Thunderstorm, I can't remember, the one that has the twisters at the end, and the Executor that comes out, the little, I can't remember his name, Raiden, I think is his name. That one I don't like, just because I tend to just play it safe and lose uptime and go like off in the corner and just throw tomahawks. So I don't really like that part of the fight, but at the same time, I'm choosing to deal with it that way. I'm not gonna like, I think it's dumb when people bash Square for making mechanics that make them lose uptime. Like, everyone's losing the same amount of uptime. It doesn't matter if your DPS isn't as high on this fight as the last one. So like, and also I'm choosing to deal with it that way, so not a huge problem. I just think it's a little weird to figure out, and there's just a lot of stuff going on, so that takes a little bit it's just kind of weird. It just I don't know. I feel like the Executor summons. I mean, it's definitely a hard part of the fight, which I guess is good, but I feel like it's a little something about it is a little strange. Doesn't sit well with me. The biggest thing I don't like about this fight, honestly, is just when my healers in range DPS just take all the melee orbs from me, and then I have to like run across the entire arena to pick up an orb for the Executor or a raid bite or something. Like, I'm just like, guys, could we please just leave the melee orbs for the melee, and you guys can literally do whatever you want and pick up the other orbs, because it's very frustrating. Honestly, I think that's the biggest part of the fight that I don't like, which is just the way my group deals with it. People just pick up whatever's in front of them. Oh, another thing, Chain Lightning. I think Chain Lightning's pretty cool. The way we deal with it is we just have the tanks go north and we literally just do nothing and just smack the boss, and then we have 2 groups of 3 do it. But we've had a couple of times where the tanks have to go in and take the spot of a DPS, and it's cool. I guess it's a cool mechanic. It's not like revolutionary, but it's a nice extra thing that you have to deal with. I would rather have them. Like, I'd rather have that mechanic than have them just do like rehash something else from the fight during those 2 times that you do Chain Lightning. So that's cool. And then there's the 2 times when he does either the Twister or the Donut, depending on if he has the buff when he finished casting. I think that could just have a different name for the ability. I think it might be a little weird for like pug players who don't know anything about the fight and are just going in. I think it might be like very fresh people. That I think will trip them up really hard, because I don't think that's something that they're going to watch. I didn't even realize it until we were doing the fight and wiping on that pretty consistently. So I think that is a little unclear, which might not necessarily be a bad thing, but I think for new players that is a bit of a problem. So I'd like to maybe see something change with that going forward with the fight design. But other than that, I think it's really just the Executor during thunderstorms. That mechanic I think is a little funky. And then the nails that you break back being a little weird due to server ticks and things are really the only things I don't like about this fight. Everything else is pretty sick. The orbs are awesome. Furious 14 is really cool. I really like that. Besides the one time with the ad is really nice. Give the off tank something to do. You know, there's decent damage going out. The fight isn't very easy. You do have to pay attention and do the mechanics. You can't just kind of not pay attention. Like the raid wides do a decent amount too. You know, overall, I think for an introductory fight to a tier, this is definitely a step up in difficulty, but it's a lot more fun because of that. So that's going to be a wrap for this video. You know, overall, I think Ramuh is a great fight. I think it's a lot of fun. I think there's a good amount of things for tanks to do. DPS and healers, I'm not really quite as sure if they enjoy it as much, but I think, you know, being an off tank, I really enjoy the fight. I look forward to it every week. Thank you to everyone who's made it this far in the video. If you want to see me play Final Fantasy and other games live, like Monster Hunter and Smite, you can watch me over at twitch.tv/feeper7. Considering the global condition right now, I will be streaming a lot more, so be sure to look out for those. A lot of fun content over here. Going to be uploading some more videos to the YouTube over here on this side as well. So thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.